Network Entertainment.
And welcome to my podcast. This is the RJ Ledesma Podcast. In my podcast, I like to speak to entrepreneurs and business owners to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, and how can we replicate them in our own businesses. And one of the biggest success secrets of many entrepreneurs is really how they think about creativity, or if they think about creativity, and of course, how do they perceive innovation in their own businesses? And here right now on my show, I've got a very good friend who is an innovation expert. I'd like to thank, of course, Aaron Palileo, or Professor Aaron. Thanks so much for joining us over here. We've known each other for so many years and we've worn so many hats in all of our interactions. But just to let people know who I have here today, first of all, he is the founder of CIA Bootleg, which he'll explain in just a bit. At the same time, for the Ateneo, he is a lecturer in the Interdisciplinary Studies Department, where he talks about creativity. And he's also part of the John Gokaway School of Management, where he serves as an innovation expert. And he's got several books, really great books over here. So if you want to find them, where can you get the books?
Amazon. They're all on Amazon Kindle. Some of them are still in Fully Booked.
Oh, excellent. So we have first the Creativity Handbook. Take a look at the Creativity Handbook over here. Tell us a bit more about the book.
The Creativity Handbook, I wrote it specifically for non-management practitioners. My first book was really towards executives and entrepreneurs. And then being exposed to interdisciplinary studies, I had students from all over the place, different courses that were non-management. And that's when it dawned on me that I need to come up with a book that is more agnostic in that regard.
Yeah.
So that tries as much as possible to avoid any management examples.
And what can they get out of doing this book?
It's actually a handbook. It's designed as a workbook wherein, sure, I give the principles, but right away people can work on their own endeavors. No, so it's exercise driven. So it will generate ideas for people, whether you are in the culinary arts, whether you're a musician, whether you are a graphic designer. So it's really output driven.
Got that. The second book you've authored is called Connect, Disconnect. Tell me a bit more about this book.
That was my first book, in fact. That was all the way back in 2014. This was when I was really getting deep into creativity and innovation. No? So my dearly departed mentor, Edmo, who we'll talk about later, challenged me. No? He said, if you really are serious about creativity and innovation, you should reach a point wherein you write about it, wherein you teach creativity and innovation from your own perspective. So I went on a research rampage from all over the place, RJ. I was interviewing people in US, in Europe, etc., psychologists, entrepreneurs, neuroscientists, and from all of those learnings, I put it all there.
I got it. And what can they pick up from this one in the end?
Again, no, these are, but the higher level, really two sets of techniques. Connect is all about connecting with people, connecting with markets, connecting with yourself and your industry. Disconnect is disconnecting from all the cliches, from all the trends, and ultimately from your own success.
Got that.
That's why it was Connect and Disconnect.
Love that. And of course, we were talking about your mentor, and why for me it also means a lot to show these books, because my wife Vanessa did a Masters of Entrepreneurship program, and the late Edmo, they call him all Edmo, right?
Edmo,
yeah. He's the head of the program, and she gained so much from doing the program. That's where you met her.
That's
also,
how I met Van.
As one of her professors over there. And this is a book that you wrote about. You compiled a lot of your meetings with him, your interviews with him. What can they learn about this book on Edmo?
Well, if you know Edmo either from AIM or Ateneo, you'd know that he wrote a lot of books, over 30 books, but very technical, really for entrepreneurs and executives. No, so I had the pleasure of really working with him and learning from him for over 10, 15 years. So I would learn a lot of things that are more high-level wisdom type, talking about self-mastery and dealing with adversity, all these things. And it dawned on me that he's never written on those things, because all of the books that he would read are talagang to help the entrepreneurs from the get-go. So I said, can I interview you? Can I just do an interview session with you on all of these bigger questions, no? Not only in management and entrepreneurship, but life. So over a span of how many weeks, we did that. But also over the years, every time that we would meet, I would write down notes. I would write down notes relentlessly. So some of those notes I also integrated there.
I see. Like I said, you actually gave me a copy of this book.
Yes.
A few years ago, and one of the things which I took to heart was when you explained the difference between what is a business owner and what is an entrepreneur. What
Yeah.
makes them different? Maybe you, in your words, you might explain it much
Actually,
better.
when you trace the etymology and the history of the term entrepreneurship, it was always defined by Joseph Schumpeter that an entrepreneur is someone who practices creative destruction. What does that mean? You take something that exists, you destroy it, right? That's why there's destruction there, but creatively, which means you come out of that destruction with better things. If you look at it from that perspective, then entrepreneurship could be about business, could be about nonprofits, could be about education. It was never really about just business owning.
I see. Okay,
But
okay.
you know how things are in the world, right? These things get lost in the mix. People just repeat terms without really understanding the etymology, and it gets passed on from one generation to another. So that's the difference. A business owner is someone who literally owns a business, manages it, makes sure that profitability is there, the operational efficiency is there. That's okay. But an entrepreneur is someone who will do all of those, but as base minimums, right? I definitely need to operate properly. I need to buy, I need to sell, etc., etc. But more than that, I need to elevate my product. I need to. It's having a bigger worldview that I'm not here just to sell. What is it that I see in this product or service that can be better than what it was before? But ultimately, an entrepreneur also elevates the organization, his people, right? They have to be better at whatever they're doing. So an entrepreneur, to my mind, and this is how we look at it, really is an innovator. And what is that? For me, innovation is impactful improvement.
Let's say impactful improvement.
Yes. I mean, again, another word that is widely used and misused. There are so many definitions out there. I mean, and I'm a fan of all of those definitions. But to simplify it, impactful improvement. No? So you improve on whatever you have. But hopefully, you improve on the biggest thing that you have, right? I mean, your product is the biggest thing. Your company is the biggest thing. And obviously, yourself. But you improve on it in a way that creates better impact. Not only for yourself, but for others.
I see.
So, I mean, even Peter Drucker said innovation is the specific tool of entrepreneurs, right? So, those are the key principles behind innovation and entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And talk about innovation being the key tool of entrepreneurs. Really, what we're going to be discussing in this program today is you've got an upcoming innovation cup, which you'll be giving on a regular basis.
Sure,
And like you said, if you're an entrepreneur, it's almost an integral part of being them.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to equip some of the entrepreneurs listening here with what are the essential tools when it comes to innovation.
Sure.
And another thing you've learned also is a bit more about the integral tools to creativity, because an entrepreneur is both creativity being part of innovation.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct to say, yeah.
To me, creativity is a mindset. Creativity is a mindset that drives innovation. So if we go back, earlier I said innovation is impactful improvement, which means it's a verb, diba? It's something that you do, right? So to me, again, there are so many frameworks out there, but to simplify it, to me, innovation as a process starts with finding an inspiration, a problem, an objective that you want to solve. Easier said than done. We can talk about that too, because that's the most important part, crafting the right innovation objective. Then you ideate, then you incubate, you test, you prototype, right? All these things. And then you implement. Those are the 4 biggest stages of innovation. But I always kid about this. Senator Bam was my batchmate, right? So we went through the same process of studying, diba, in Ateneo. So we went through the same process, but we ended up differently. So, because we had a different mindset, right? I mean, Senator Bam always had that mindset of really nation building and really changing the world, etc., etc. Back then, my mindset was having fun, right? So I'm kidding, but there's an important point there. You can go through innovation, the process, right, and not lead to big, impactful improvements. I always share as a simple illustration to whoever I'm teaching. Let's create an objective here. Let's grow market share. Okay, let's ideate. What idea to grow market share? Buy one, take one, or 50% off? Di naka-ideate na. All right, let's incubate. Then I ask everyone, which is better, buy one, take one, or 50% off? Of course, the finance people say, buy one, take one. All right, implement. Easy, right? But that would not lead to an impactful improvement. Why? Because it was not treated from a creative mindset. So what is that creative mindset? First is, you need to favor things that differ. I've interviewed so many creative practitioners here and abroad. One of the common characteristics, and I'm sure you know this, Arch, diba? The creative people, they have parang this taste for the tried and tested. A lot of people I interviewed, advertising experts, BBDO, etc. The great ones, they will always say, what is everyone doing? Ay, hindi ko gagawin yun.
Exactly.
Right? So, first is mindset of what is different. All right. Now, second, what delivers? Because it's not enough to be different. It needs to deliver.
You're not there for novelty's sake.
Exactly. I mean, ang joke ko dyan, dami nating kilala nung college or nung high school, kakaiba pero walang kwenta. Right? So, you need to deliver. So, what does that mean? Well, deliver on organizational objectives, organizational strategies. For me, most important is the organizational vision mission. Does it deliver on those? Now, if you look at the dictionary, creativity is novel ideas of value. So I'm not inventing anything there, Arch. Kasi yun na nga, novel differs, di ba? Of value delivers. And this one, I intimately discovered over the years, one thing missing there, it's not enough to differ, it's not enough to deliver. You need to delight. You need to delight people. Di ba? We always talk about wanting to create customer engagement, to evoke the emotions of people, and it's so difficult to operationalize that. And then I realize, how do we experience the world anyway? If you need to connect with people, then you have to connect with their senses. Because that's the gateway to people's emotions, right? I mean, that's how we experience the world. We see things, we hear things. So then I realized, that's the third component. We need to be delightful. So what does that mean? On a shallow level, delightful, if we are to look at the senses, right, there are rules to this. When it's something that you look at, if it's visual, there are rules of graphic design and art, principles of art, right? So are you looking at symmetry, balance, proportion, color, etc.? When it's something that people listen to, is it semantically, grammatically constructed to bring music to one's ears? No? When it's something that you're holding, are you considering the weight, the texture? If you put all of those together, then you are now engaging people. But the deepest level pa of delighting people would be their needs, right? So understanding the deepest needs and motivators of people would be the most important way to delight them. So if you look at those three, does it differ, does it deliver, does it delight? And then you apply that to the innovation process. I go back to my earlier example. Grow market share. Boy, that doesn't differ. Well, every company will say, I want to grow market share, I want to grow sales. Does that deliver? Siguro, okay, pag naka-chamba ka then it delivered on your KPIs. But does it delight? Maybe the business owner, but not the customer. Right? So then you go apply the same mindset in ideation. Diba? Usual ideas sa yung paborito ni the late great TBL, puro bigger, cheaper, faster, diba? That will fail dun sa 3Ds na yun, diba? Kasi nga, you just want to make it cheaper, faster, then that's not different. That will not delight. So, that to me is the yin and yang of creativity and innovation. Creativity is the mindset that drives the innovation process.
I like that. It's the mindset that drives the innovation process.
Yes.
And thankfully, you have a lot of case studies which you can actually share with us,
Yes.
and we're going to go through them in just a bit because they're very interesting. Now, for people to get a better context of why you do all this, I think it's better for them to understand a bit more about your own background. Now, like I said earlier on, he did put up a advertising agency called CIA Bootleg, but he actually belongs to, like myself, I'm from a family business, and it was called ADP.
Yes.
So tell me a bit more how your family business influenced sort of your worldview when it came to entrepreneurship.
That's how we met.
Yes,
Remember,
yes, exactly.
I mean, you would be in our events, and I even wrote for Manual.
That's
diba?
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, like a lot of people who are part of family businesses, diba, you are in a way forced into the family.
That's right.
But when I was growing up, I always wanted to be in the world of art and creativity. So I wanted to be a filmmaker. I was actually a serious photography hobbyist. So I was really angling to be in the world of creativity and the arts. But I was forced into the family business. No? So, but then I realized that there was part of management that I liked, which is marketing. Because marketing was about creativity, marketing was about understanding people and all of those things. So, I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of major multinationals because we were representing the likes of Chupa Chups, Haribo, Freixenet, Bic. These are big European and American companies that were led by very progressive marketers and brand builders. So I was interacting and interfacing with them a lot. Interestingly, the Philippines would always be not their top priority. I mean, varying degrees of
Market size.
Exactly.
Market size.
Right?
We're not quite
so
there
our
in the
budgets
radar.
would always be limited. So I had to translate these big ideas, progressive marketing ideas that were being done in Europe, in America, to the Philippine context and budget.
Yeah, so parang sinasashay size mo yung mga nakabote dyan sa ibang bansa. Oo.
Exactly. And then I had to be more creative kasi we were competing with giants here.
That's right.
So dun pa lang, I realized, my penchant for creative thinking can be applied in the Philippines and brand and marketing, etc., etc. That's when I went to AIM. So I took my MBA there. My two biggest mentors, Edmo,
Edmo
obviously
that's right.
in terms of everything, no, strategy, etc., etc. But in research, DocNed.
DocNed Roberto.
Of course, DocNed. Diba? So we were learning weird things from DocNed. Weird psychological techniques, so research. But when I went back to our family business, no one was doing it. Working with these big multinational research firms, I was like, how come you're not doing these progressive research methodologies? Then I got into teaching. So I started teaching in Ateneo. Edmo found out. So he got me to teach in the ACE, in Ateneo Graduate School of Business. Started teaching entrepreneurs. Then that's when I started teaching innovation, creativity. I was now on my own, and this was a long time ago. I was probably one of the first who would pitch to companies, hey, I have a creativity and innovation workshop. Took a while, man. I mean, because I was like, what? Diba? Parang ganyan pa nun. Soon I was getting these big companies. Some of them would say, hey, these things are good, but can you just do this for us? Pas, I go, uy. Parang, I realize some of them don't have the bandwidth to do the hard stuff. They can implement. That's when I started forming Bootleg. It was still Bootleg Innovation Design. So I partnered with two of my lifelong friends. No? So my background was marketing, brand, academe. One of my other partners is a filmmaker, New York trained filmmaker. But although he was a filmmaker, he was already working then with multinationals. So creativity.
Doing what? More producing the ads.
Corporate videos.
Corporate
So
videos.
now
Okay.
he does a lot of corporate videos, stakeholder videos for the likes of Ayala. But he also, he made his own documentary on Jose Rizal, which was on History Channel for a while. No? So that was my second partner. My third partner then owns one of the top art galleries in the Philippines and also a graduate of managing the arts program. So the three of us, all of us are deeply interested in film, music, creativity. We knew we can out-strategize traditional thinkers from that perspective. Creativity, innovation.
I want to go into this a bit. Like for me, because I'm wearing my hat because I worked for a multinational firm. I was a brand guy, and your background naturally. I mean, somebody would say. Initially, we would scoff at parang, huh? filmmaker and
Yes.
a art gallerist, how will they compare to me hiring somebody from a stronger market research background? But what made you think at that time that when you were setting up this company, that putting together this type of people would solve a pain point that
Yeah.
other agencies could not solve, or other outfits could not solve?
Yeah. Well, the intuitive part there was that, just looking outside, diba? Looking at all the things happening around the Philippines, you would see a lot of boring stuff, man. It's like, parang, kailangan ng mas ibang lente, right? Like, and coming from, the thing with me, it was, I had an MBA, I was working with
Interesting.
multinationals, so I had that background. So I know how these guys work. So I know that the strategizing, all of them were coming from your traditional frameworks.
So you knew where they were coming from also.
Yes.
So you knew that
Oh.
you'd attack it in another, attack things in another way.
But I knew we had to have the credibility, right? So I can't just say, like what you said, look at us, etc., creativity, whatever. We needed to partner that with impeccable insights. That would be the differentiation. So in terms of strategy, the differentiation was strategies by creative and entrepreneur, creative practitioners and entrepreneurs with a deep command of design, film, etc., etc. But in terms of insights, as I said, diba, when I was working with when I would tap market research firms, I found the insights severely shallow. So I said, how can we deepen that? So we said, okay, reframe, man. The reframe was, a lot of research agencies are coming from a statistician and
Perspective,
of stat, diba?
Exactly.
So, and then sure, they might have some psychology graduates, etc. So our reframe was, what if it's actual people who know how to understand people? And then when we changed to that, we realized that it's not researchers, psychologists. Not only a regular psychologist, but a clinical psychologist whose day job is to understand someone with mental and psychological concerns. Man, someone who's good at that, ang hirap kaya, di ba? I mean, we all know, di ba? Mental wellness and all these things. You talk to someone with a mental concern, what? Bakit ka ganyan? Anong problema mo? No. These people have all the tools to really understand gently, right? And subtly, the deepest drivers of those behaviors. Sociologists, ganun din, di ba? Iba yung nag-mystery shopping ka na pumunta ka sa store, tapos you were just doing checklists. Imagine a real sociologist with a firm command of culture, society, and then they observe, the insights will be different. So then we started getting actual psychologists, actual sociologists. That's how we started forming Bootleg Innovation Design. And we started in 2013. Flash forward to 2019, every time I would travel, I would touch base with like-minded people to learn. So I'd really reach out, academies, people in brand, innovation, etc. And one of my visits to Japan, I was able to meet the oldest brand and creativity strategy firm from Japan, no less than the CEO. Long story short, eventually we started working with them. That's how we became CIA Bootleg Manila. They're called Creative Intelligence Associates.
I see.
So that's how we evolved, and we learned a lot of their techniques and their principles in helping the likes of Uniqlo, Aoyama Flower Market, Ueshima UCC. We learned also from them.
I see. And so, right now you're currently an advertising agency, or
It's
are you?
really no, we don't do advertising. So it's really brand and innovation consultancy. Kumbaga, there are so many great advertising agencies out there. Again, diba, positioning, di na kami lalaban doon. In fact, we coexist with ad agencies. What we really focus on are two things. No? So when I talk about brand and innovation strategy, this is really the heart and soul of your brand. What is really your brand DNA? Who are you? What is your big promise to the world? How can we really elevate your positioning strategy? And then from there, what will be your brand experience? So how can we evolve your products? If it's a product-driven company, we work with a lot of services. How can we innovate your service based on the brand? And then in terms of advertising, because of our multidisciplinarity, we also give them ideas on how to do IMC. That's the first.
So for people who don't understand what IMC means.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Integrated marketing communication. So that's all of your marketing campaigns, whether it's TV, well, above the line, but TV, radio, print, of course, now digital, TikTok, social media, billboards, integrating all of those into a cohesive marketing campaign. So IMC.
Got that.
So there.
What's up, Kingdom fam? Yuki and Ingrid here from the Kingdom Podcast. Are you someone who has fully integrated K-pop into your life? Or keep up with the latest K-pop comebacks, news, and scandals?
Do you also dream about getting married to your bias and having their babies in the future? Well, you're in the right... What? I'm just being honest.
Look, you know what? Let's just get back to it. At the Kingdom Podcast, we dive into the latest comebacks, dissect the music videos, and do deep dives on controversies.
Not only do we make things informative, but we also keep it fun. It'll be just like listening to a group of friends who love K-pop as much as you.
You won't find another podcast that's as fun and unfiltered as ours.
So, if you're ready for some K-pop chaos, grab your nightsticks and tune in.
Check out the Kingdom Podcast.
Stream it on all your favorite podcast platforms. Stay awesome, Kingdom fam! I thought that was pretty good. What do you think?
Marrying your bias and having their babies? Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And so the current space is sort of like you are the facilitator.
Well, not really. Our process is really, whenever we work with a client, all of those human scientists I mentioned will research first. So the psychologists will interview, sociologists will immerse. We have semiotics experts. We have
What does semiotics mean? People don't
semiotics. It's actually very new in the Philippines, no. But even I find myself struggling to define it. But my own definition is semiotics is the study of a culture, any market, from the expressions of that culture. So let's say we're studying coffee. What are the expressions of that coffee culture? Ads, obviously, diba? So how is coffee advertised in the Philippines? But more than that, movies, TV, our folklore. How is coffee portrayed exactly in our movies? So if you extract that, all of those signs, then you can glean what the culture is about. So psychology, sociology, semiotics. We look at all the international trends happening. But of course, very important for your listeners, kailangan pa rin ng hardcore grounding. Market size. What are the critical factors? What is the supply chain? Competitor analysis. Andun pa rin yung classic MBA
methodology.
Kailangan yun. So we do that.
Okay.
So, our Master and Entrep framework, external analysis muna. Imagine all of those scientists or human scientists, different disciplines, immersing in your industry. So, that's the first. Then, we deep dive into the company. So, internal analysis. Same multidisciplinarity applied now on your company. So, I mean, this is like a lesson for your audience. You never critique yourself, your company. You only critique your company only after you've understood the world out there. Kasi that would be the lens.
That's your internal assessment now, right?
Yes, that will be your benchmark. Na parang, okay, this is what I'm doing. How does it fare from what I saw out there? Customers said this, competitors are doing that, these are the trends, these are the semiotics. Am I doing it aligned or misaligned? So we do all of those ourselves. After that, then we start. And this is the difficult part, man. It's like all of those research methodologies.
You should take in all the research that you've gotten so far, and then put it through the lens of CIA Bootleg, the creative part.
Yeah, that's the hard part, because what we tell our team, research based on your rigor. Kumbaga, don't filter. Psychology, magpaka-psychologist ka. Sociology, don't filter, don't think about, will this work, etc. No, just practice your science. It's our job, the founders, the strategists, to make sense of all of those. So then we start really swimming in all of those information. Then we're of course, throughout those how many months, we're always in touch with the client. No? We even have heart-to-heart talks with them. Na parang, okay, who are you really? What is your vision, etc., etc., etc. So we get to understand them deeply. After that, that's when we strategize. So it's not really facilitation in the sense that it's the client that would be ideating. It's really us working, but there's co-creation there because throughout the process we're presenting. the second, as I said, we have two major services. The second is the facilitation, pero workshops on innovation, brand strategy, creativity. So that's our second service. Because of our background, and a lot of my team members are also from the academe and from our processes in Bootleg, we offer innovation, creativity, and brand workshops to several companies.
Help me, if you don't mind. I mean, so we kind of ground this discussion. Help me go through a brand that you've actually worked with, and if they're okay to disclose who they
Sure.
are. And where you've gone through the process, they were an established brand. They did some research, but then you had the little CIA bootleg magic coming in,
Sure.
and it reframed how the brand is. And we saw from from a stable brand, it leaped.
Okay. Well, my classic story is Serenity, no? So, Serenity, I always like talking about Serenity is because we worked on them 2014, and until now we get recognized by the likes of Psychology Today, professors from all over the world, as to how we did it. So this was around 2014. You have to understand, back then milk tea was fairly new in the Philippines. No?
Yes,
So Jules and Peter, the owners, they had a lot of questions. No? We call it being in a fog when you have so many questions about your business. No? So they were doing well.
So they were out. The Serenity was already running at the time.
They were
right?
already 5 years old.
5 years old. Okay.
Right, but they had a lot of questions because remember back then milk tea was fairly new, so no one knew if it will be a long-lasting trend. So one of their questions was, "What is our future? Parang what's our future? Is this a passing fad? Is milk tea a passing fad?" Another question was, how do we compete or not compete? How do we coexist with the big beverage retailers, the Starbucks of this world? Not compete, mind you, but just to coexist and find our place in the sun, right? Also, they were getting married around that time. They said, we want to grow without the pressure of over-expanding.
Okay.
Galing, di ba? Yung
Understand.
It's like, we don't want to franchise. They didn't want to franchise. And they said, but we want to grow. It's like, man, it's like a really interesting question. Parang, how do you grow without...
Great challenges.
Yes.
Interesting challenges.
And
yes.
put all of those together. Di ba, man, businesses are like that. It's not as if you only have one concern or one objective. You have all of these objectives all at the same time.
That's
so, parang soon you get into the fog na parang, oh my God, where do I go, right? So, we did our thing. We did our process. Again, back then, it was really our psychology team that unlocked everything. So, we interviewed several people, milk tea drinkers, obviously, but also coffee drinkers, all types of people who drank, mostly in beverage-driven retail stores.
Okay.
No? But what our psychologists did differently was to what we call unlocking the imprint. No? So what is an imprint? An imprint is the most powerful psychological and cognitive association that you have for anything. It's imprinted into your mind, into your unconscious mind. But this imprint, again, it's a meaning that you put onto a subject. It controls your behavior, right? So, for example, when I ask you, RJ, like, when you see fire, what would you do?
Yeah.
Diba?
You'd
Avoid.
be scared. Yeah.
Diba? So, think about it. There's an association. This is dangerous. But more importantly, there's a behavior. I'm going to avoid it. That's imprinted into you, into us. But those imprints were formed when we were young. So you can't just go up to someone and ask, what's your imprint of milk tea? So our psychologists will have to do clinical regression. Bring people back to their oldest, most powerful memory of milk tea. But since milk tea was fairly new, the memories were a bit shallow, but still interesting because these were 20, 30-year-olds. They flash back to their college years.
Yes.
Diba? And all the associations were, I'm having fun, kasama ko barkado ko, etc. Then they regress further. How about tea? The memories were, I'm 10 years old, I'm 11. 3 types of memories. I'm in a Chinese restaurant, all the grown-ups are drinking tea.
Okay.
Second memory, na-impacho ako, pinainom ako ng tea. Third memory, I see my mom, my lolo drinking pito-pito. So our psychologist said, this is like albularyo.
I see. I
So
see.
Eastern healing. It's like, hey, that's more powerful than just teenagers having fun. Then the final regression was milk. I was looking at the transcripts. I had to call our psychologist. I said, is this serious? Because they were flashbacking to when they were 3, 2.
Talaga?
It's like,
Interesting.
I'm 2 years old. In this memory, I see my mom giving me milk. I'm out in the afternoon sun. Remember when we all played out in the afternoon sun?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
My mom called me, made me a cold glass of milk. Or at night, I couldn't sleep. I was given a warm glass of milk. Lahat sila may nanay, pare. So it's like, milk meant motherhood and being nurtured.
Okay.
After that was the big reframe. I said earlier, the most important part of the innovation process is the inspiration finding. What is that new objective that you will solve? So we found that, we need to reposition milk tea to deliver no longer, here's an iced tea drink for you. No, it needs to evoke the feeling of being refreshed, relaxed like it's tea, but more importantly, nurtured like a mom. Right? So, as I said earlier, yun ang pinakamahirap that finding that new objective. Then everything snowballed already. Okay, tagline, have a moment of serenity. We wanted to make it a verb. Right? And also, we wanted a tagline, and it's not just a tagline, it's really a mantra. We wanted a mantra na hindi pwedeng gayahin ng iba. Everyone would say, milk tea, the best quality tea for you. Everyone can use that tagline or whatever
But the way
it was.
that you made it was integrating Serenity
Exactly.
into their tagline.
Yes. Hindi naman pwedeng gayahin ng ibang brand, have a moment of whatever.
And it makes thematic sense to put it together now with the way that you put together the tagline.
And then from there, we started looking at their products. Before then, they were categorizing based on ingredient. Matcha, Yakult, etc. Now, the categories, no, let's go back to those 3. Teenage fun is all about being refreshed. Tea is all about being relaxed. And then tinawag namin yung milk, indulgent.
So,
no?
refresh, relax, indulge.
Yeah.
Parang ganyan.
So suddenly, those are the 3 new categories. Biglang, okay, if you have 60 products, 70 products, now you can curate which of these products match the 3 categories, thereby delivering on the deepest imprint of the customer. So from 60, cut down to 40. Then it also allowed the entrepreneur, very important, to allow the entrepreneur to be able to ideate moving forward, because now they have a big framework. And look at Serenity now. My God, partnering with Sesame Street, partnering with Peanuts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And those are all not by bootleg anymore. It's the entrepreneurs, but because they were given a new lens. And they were telling me, my God, to partner with Sesame Street was so difficult. You can imagine. I mean, this is one of the biggest brands in the world. But to my mind, I realized the fact that they were able to get that, and not only like a shallow partnership, their drinks were Sesame Street themed, packaging, store design, etc. It meant Sesame Street. So this is a serious and a reputable company to work with. And look at it now. Look at not only Serenity, look at the milk tea industry.
Oh.
Right? Actually, when we saw, milk and tea are the drivers of milk tea, then we told Jules, this is not a fad. If we're able to really address that, this will not be a fad, because sure, teenage fun is fleeting. Whatever is fun today might be different from fun tomorrow, but to be soothed and to be nurtured, long-lasting yun.
And you have 3 phases naman. If it's younger, refreshing, that can be.
Exactly. And then now you can just always innovate based on what are the standards of today in terms of relax, refresh, di ba? For entrepreneurs who are, rightly so, focused on the products and the services, you need to have a bigger philosophy, right? A bigger philosophy serving as your criteria. I mean, we look at the best of the best, right? I mean, if you look at Nike, they didn't say, we're here to sell running shoes. It's to innovate and inspire the athlete. Back then, running shoes yung pinaka-canvas nila. And yun yung kaya ng technology before.
Yeah.
But when the world evolved, it was still innovating and inspiring the athlete. But they're able to now ideate based on, kaya na ng ganitong technology, etc., etc., etc. So entrepreneurs, and not only entrepreneurs, sana nga hindi lang the entrepreneurs, but even your corporate entrepreneurs are thinking that way now. Sure, the products, the services, the tactics are there, but what is the higher strategy? What is the higher philosophy? What is our DNA? What are we here for? Dapat yun yung mga tinitignan.
Really, I love how it's mind expanding. This is for many entrepreneurs, and hopefully later on we'll tell them how they can get in touch with CIA Bootleg if they want to.
Well, yeah,
to
no.
go further
Our
on
website is caabootleg.ph, innovation.ph also. They can just easier to remember. Branding.ph also easier to remember. So that's how we can be reached. Obviously, we also have our social media channels. It's at CIA Bootleg Manila.
Now, I'm glad we went through this whole process because this really brings us now to how going to putting up CIA Bootleg and how you've uniquely put together the composition, diba?
Yeah.
I often talk about in this podcast how the secret sauce is how the proprietary way that you put things together that you can only do. And what you put together for CIA Bootleg was pretty proprietary if you think about it. I mean, it's not difficult. It's not. If it was easy to do, then other people would have done the same thing already by now by putting together practitioners and in their field in this manner. But it also gave birth to your better understanding of creativity and how it works towards entrepreneurship and how creativity becomes the lens through which we see innovation for entrepreneurship. Now, in your innovation bootcamp, share with us a bit more about what are the basic, you've shared with us the creativity principles. Share with us now the innovation principles that an entrepreneur needs to look at. Okay. I want to share with you a bit more like of how when I give talks on entrepreneurship, I often say entrepreneurship is solving a problem, right? And but people are smart, meaning that we can come up with any idea for solving a problem, but it's the unique way that you solve that problem that nobody else can solve. That is where innovation comes in. That's how I see it, and that's how I look at others. Help me with me thinking this way. Help me. Is that the way to think about innovation?
Sure. Actually, it aligns with what I said earlier, right? Impactful improvement. You see a problem, or sometimes, obviously, a problem can be a jumping point, but sometimes it could be an objective, diba? Walang problema, wala namang problema, everything is going smoothly. Then, actually, baka mas importante pa, that's when you start.
Baka that's the problem. Any problem.
That's you have to look for an objective, right? But you approach it from that lens. No, yung sinabi mo nga that only you can do it. In the Master and Entrep, I would always say at the end, we had a session at the end of the whole 18-month program wherein it's all about business planning, capping everything, and we invite some of the graduates and they tell their stories. And it always dawns on me, because I did that for maybe 10 years, and it's always around 2 to 3 entreps, so around 30 successful entreps coming back. One of the commonalities is that the business already bears their stories, their personal stamp, right? So yun yung what you're saying, diba? Na parang it could be a personal or an organizational stamp na this is how we see this problem or objective should be solved or addressed. No? So I definitely agree there, Arj. That's why in our innovation camp, I'm preaching to the choir, iba talaga magturo ng entreps. Iba mag-mentor ng entreps. It's more difficult, but it's so much more fulfilling. No? So I noticed whether it would be the students I've taught and the clients we've had, no? Kasi we're fortunate enough to be in Bootleg na meron kaming clients na the multinationals of this world and then the entrep-driven organizations.
And I guess you're able to get insights from both, right? They're good. They're actually good for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But even so, merong mga business owners that are not innovative and are not entrepreneurial. There are big conglomerates that are very entrepreneurial and very innovative. Ang galing na ma-compare and contrast. But one of the things that we are going to focus on, so ICE has 3 modules. No? The first module is discover. Even before you discover out there, you have to discover your inner entrepreneur. Who are you really? Your inner innovator, your inner entrepreneur. What is your bent? No, are you more of an analyst? Are you empathetic? Are you really naturally malikot ang utak, di ba? So you have to discover that first. But part of the D is then you start discovering opportunities. This is when our own psychologists will teach you how they do things. So we're gonna share how an actual psychologist interviews, yung kinamento ko kanina na i-regress, etc., etc. We will teach them sociology, etc., etc. So, first module, discover. First, the most important is discover who you are, then discover the opportunities in your industry and your company. Second module is innovate. Right? So, innovate is all ideation. So we'll teach them different ideation techniques, also incubation. I thought, Arj, biggest irony in life, sobrang man kung life, but one of the biggest ironies in management, we are always asked to ideate. I mean, di ba? Strategic planning, brainstorming, etc. But think about it. When were we ever taught how to ideate? Look at, and you go back to our curriculum in our education. Nowhere will you find a class on how to ideate.
That's right. Right?
So to me, that's one of the biggest paradoxes in management. Oh, idea mo, strat plan tayo. So we're expecting people to just pull it out of thin air. So the second module will really teach different techniques of ideating. Right? And that's how you start innovating. So idea generation, then you incubate, prototype, etc. The last module is strategize. So now that you have found an objective, an opportunity, and you've ideated and tested some of the ideas you have, by then, meron ka ng at least one, if not more, na magandang innovation. So the last part, strategizing and storytelling. So what is the story of this? And when I say storytelling, it's really about the customer journey. So how will you bring this to life? What would be the different touch points? Yung sinabi ko kanina, the multi-sensory touch points. What would be your strategy for the next year to ramp up this innovation? So DIS, it's short for disrupt. No, so that's the ICE framework. No, and making it hopefully we feel unique is that again we have distilled our years of actual work teaching and mentoring real entrepreneurs. So there will be classes. Kailangan pa rin ng rigor. But those classes would be facilitated by different people. May mga exercises in class. So our good friend Joe Mag, for instance, has graciously allowed us to do sociology and good food. So dun magso-sociology practice yung mga participants. But also, every participant will be assigned a mentor. No? So because they will do field work. They have to apply everything on their own business. Diba? So, okay, say, lesson today, psychology. They'll be guided by the psychologist. All right, here now, apply it on your own customers. So the interview. Then the mentoring is really the psychologist looking at their work. Tama ba? Let's process this.
I see.
So that's the...
You're equipping them with the tools to go out and do this on their own.
But not only equipping them, diba? But also guiding them.
That's right.
So that's the third. No? So classes, fieldwork, mentorship. Then the fourth, we have ICE talks. So every module will be ended by a mini conference. So every module, discover, at the end of that module, may mini conference, end of innovate, etc. And we have around 15 of some of the country's top entrepreneurs. No? So Joe Mag of Potato Corner. We have Ryan Cruz of Mendocoro and Yushoken. We have Andrea Zulweta of Piandre. We have Dennis and Emily Balahadia of Beach Hut and the Dragon Edge Group. We have Andoni Albert of Cation. So we have B2C, FMCG, tech, B2B.
Excellent.
All of these people will be giving their tips and advice to the participants.
That's the bootcamp. If they want to take the bootcamp, how can they get in touch with you guys?
They can go to ateneo.edu/ICE. So easy to remember.
Okay. When are the next set of camps, boot camps?
It's starting September 6. So it's every Saturday from then on. So para friendly sa mga may-ari ng company. So mostly in class in Ateneo, but there would be, the mentoring sessions would be all online.
I know that there's some things that you like to, some things that you have to actually go through the sessions that to learn a lot. But are there any key takeaways that you want to share that, that you can give a preview of people of what's the most important thing that they need to know as entrepreneurs and related to innovation?
I think the most important thing really for entrepreneurs that are already working and have great momentum, perfect time to ask yourselves, what is really your corporate or your enterprise DNA? What is the core essence of your company that can, ito yung what makes it difficult, that can connect your past, explain your present, and then predict your future? Right? Because explaining your past and your present is fairly simple. Diba? Parang this is my DNA, this is where I came from, and this is what we do now. But a DNA, a corporate or enterprise DNA, a powerful one, is obsolescence proof. It should be able to help you towards the future. So, I mean, I can talk about ideation, etc., but to my mind, entrepreneurs should be focusing on that. What is our enterprise DNA that will harness from our successes in the past, allow us to live and thrive today, but also prepare us for tomorrow?
And have you talking about preparing entrepreneurs, and there are a lot to listen to the program here right now. From your hat, what are you seeing as the opportunities emerging for entrepreneurs? Because sometimes people come from a scarcity mentality. Wala nang opportunity dyan. But
No.
in your specific, from your lens, what are you seeing as
Well,
opportunities coming out?
two, no? One is more about really understanding your consumers in a different lens, which I talked about. No? Not just relying on traditional methods, but seeing them from a very human science approach. That's one. I think that applies for a lot. Second is, of course, big bad AI, right? I think the leaders, most importantly, the leaders of enterprises should take it upon themselves to learn, and of course you cannot perfect it, but learn and master AI, generative AI, because it will come from the top in terms of how the organization should evolve in terms of AI. I think, and me, myself, in the last 2 years, I've taken over 15 AI courses, man. Because we need to make sure that Bootleg is not only up to date, but we are AI empowered.
Got that. Share with those courses naman para eventually let's see if we can learn something from those as well.
Yeah, no, I'm in that, I'm in that stage. Soon, we would probably create an AI course.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
And as we round out our discussion, from all your experiences, from working for the family business to putting up CIA Bootleg to becoming a professor, what are the key management takeaways that you've learned that you want to share with people listening?
You know, one of the things, in the world today, wherein simplistic thinking is parang dime a dozen, rigor. Management rigor, the fundamentals, you can never beat the fundamentals. I mean, Andy Warhol and all of these Picassos, whatever, they said that before you become a great artist, before you start breaking the rules, you need to learn the rules. And I think if there's one thing that people should take seriously is that way beyond all of these fancy, cool, Instagrammable memes and frameworks, rigor, the fundamentals. If you're a marketing person, master the fundamentals of marketing and then some, right? You also, it might not be, but one of the things I really learned in all of those things that you said, whether it be my own distribution company, Bootleg, teaching, mastery of the fundamentals is super important. So that's one thing that I'd like to make everyone remember.
And with that, thanks so much, Aaron, a professor in
Thank you,
Palileo.
RJ.
Looking forward to having people take up the innovation course in Ateneo. And of course, if you can find books on Amazon, again, really good reads, the Creativity Handbook, Edmo book, and of course, Connect Disconnect. He even has a book on skill building, principles of marketing, but this is not available for public consumption.
For senior high school students.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Again, thanks so much. Thanks for joining
Thanks,
us. Thanks,
RJ. Thanks. I hope I was able to.
Thanks so much. And we'll see you guys in our next podcast. Thanks so much, guys.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.